friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we're going to have fun planting two brand new shrubs that have just come onto the market very recently. And so our friends over at Spring Meadow Nursery, who is the home to all of the proven winners, Color Choice Shrubs, sent us a great shipment of all sorts of fantastic shrubs late summer, early fall. And we did a video. If you forgot to see that video, you can check it out above. I will have it linked for you, where we went through all the shrubs and described them. So today we're going to be planting a new viburnum and a new weigela. Yes, we are. Both of these shrubs are going to give us gorgeous color starting in the spring all the way through the summer, and then give us gorgeous color in the fall. Brenna and I are standing here along the flower bed by the creek that is connected to the fence, the berm, the entrance. So just to give you a little bit of point of reference, the gravel road that you see is going down to the nursery, which is just right behind these trees. This is the gate that will be here so that we can access coming on down into the yard. If you remember, in the summer, we typically will plant this whole area with gorgeous flowering annuals. We will do that again, but that's also where some of the new viburnums are going to go. But we'll get to that in just a minute. And then as we make our way down this whole flower bed, when you get down to the end, you will see where we have planted the lemony laces, has that unique stone urn, and all of those great plants. So that just kind of gives you a reference point of where we are. I will go ahead and tell you before we get too far into this video that, of course, I came out here to get some work done, and the fellows who are in charge of maintaining our power lines, they too were working this morning and trimming limbs of trees. I think they have moved on, but if you start to hear some ruckus in the background, just know it is the fellas who are in charge of trimming those tree limbs and removing them, and it is what it is, so we're going to do the best we can do today. So let me tell you about these two fantastic new shrubs that we are going to add to the garden today. Here in the back of Johnny, I've got all of my supplies ready to go. So let's talk about these great new shrubs. The first one that we're going to plant is Steady Eddy. And Steady Eddy is a double file viburnum. It is a really fun viburnum. I got to see it at Spring Meadow, and it is a lace cap viburnum that you can see here on the back of the tag. So I did not know this. Well, I guess I did know this. You know, you kind of remember things. Viburnums can come like hydrangeas. They can be a mop head, which is that classic gorgeous bloom. And we in fact have three of them right here behind me. Those are popcorn viburnums that will get nice and big. Traditional, you know, big, what people will call them snowball bushes. So we have that, and then you can also have the lace cap viburnum, which is what the Steady Eddy is. And so the lace cap is more found naturally in nature, so it lends itself very natural to a woodland garden and setting, so that will fit in perfect right here. So the specs on Steady Eddy is that it is a sun to a part sun plant. It will be about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, so much smaller than the traditional viburnums like my popcorn viburnum. It is going to be hardy in zones 5 to 8. Now, we've talked about this a lot recently. If you're in zone 5, Steady Eddy can go into full hot sun all day long, right? We're zone 7B in North Carolina. We're on the borderline of that zone 8. Therefore, this spot is going to be perfect because it'll get lots of morning sun and will fulfill that full sun requirement because it will get at least 5 to 6 hours of direct sun in the summertime. But then because it's on the creek bank, the big trees will block it from that hot afternoon sun, which is nice. So if you have a shrub and you're on the borderline of being too warm, a lot of times you can, it is very beneficial for the plant if you will give it a break from that hot afternoon sun. Not only does Steady Eddy bloom these gorgeous pure white lace cap blooms, and they're going to bloom really kind of in spring and then throughout the summer, and then in the fall it too will give you lots of beautiful kind of a burgundy purplish foliage color. So that would be really pretty in the fall. I have 6 of them. They brought me 6. I only brought down 4 because I thought I could only use 4, but I think I am going to need all 6. So I'm going to go back up later on once we place them out, and then we will decide if I want 4, if I want 6, because it's going to be gorgeous in this spot. While we're here, let me go ahead and tell you about the new weigela. So this is called Wine and Spirits. And so Wine and Spirits is going to have beautiful dark black foliage on it. It has pure white blooms, that traditional kind of those little bell-shaped blooms on it. It will have full sun requirements, zones 4 to 8. Now again, like I said earlier with the Steady Eddy, full sun zones 4 to 8. 7B, I'm going to give it that full sun requirement in that it gets lots of morning sun, and then it is going to get a break in the afternoon, and so it will not absolutely fry. That is the thing that I have found personally is very helpful, is if it can get a break from that afternoon sun. Where the Steady Eddy is going to be on irrigation, the Wine and Spirits is not going to be on irrigation because the irrigation ends in that bed. It's going to be only 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, so that again is going to be perfect for the spot that I have it, where it's going to go. And so I have 3 of these babies, and we are going to get them in the ground. So what we're going to do is just first of all get these spaced out, figure exactly where they're going to go, and then we'll get them planted. We're going to plant the Wine and Spirits weigela first, and so I'm going to show you really kind of where we're going to put it. I have an idea. I know where it's going to go, but I don't know exactly where it's going to go, if that makes any kind of sense. So here we are to give you a bit of a frame of reference, of course, right? This is the camellia that we planted along with the 2 lemony lace elderberries. So there is one here, one there, doing very nicely. They are holding their own, which I'm very happy about. Of course, the unique stone Spanish urn that has the tough stuff hydrangea where Brenna is, those are the Sunjoy Neo barberries. Back here in the back, these are the Invincible ruby hydrangeas that I transplanted early summer last year. 3 are doing okay, 2 are on the struggle bus, but they are alive, so we're going to leave those. And then we have the Carolina Sapphire, which is a great blue atlas type, I think it's a blue atlas cedar, but it is a cedar. And you can see then that we have basically this empty space all right up in here. Even have a nice pocket that is empty right here before we have our limelight hydrangeas and then our Miss Violet butterfly bushes. So we've got hydrangeas, butterfly bushes, and this is where the space that these Wine and Spirits are going to go. Of course, with their nice deep black foliage, it's really going to pop off really pretty against the tree, the hydrangeas, the butterfly bushes, nice color contrast. Of course, the white flowers will work beautifully. They will be blooming though, of course, before my limelights do, and my butterfly bushes, because the weigela is going to be more of a spring bloomer, and then it will just be great foliage for the rest of the season. But it'll fill in this area very nicely, being in that 3 to 5 tall and wide. Weigela, of course, bloom on old growth, so we don't want to prune them. And you really shouldn't have to prune them unless you just really need to kind of shape them up if you have like a rogue limb. Because they bloom on old growth, that means the best time to prune them is immediately after they bloom. So once their blooms are done, if you need to shape it up, that is a great time to do it. So I'm going to figure out exactly where these 3 are going to go as far as the spacing on them, the exact placement. I've got my power planter auger. I will aug my hole. I've got my biotone, and then I've got some land and seed compost that I will top dress with each of those shrubs. So I'm going to figure out the placement and get them in the ground. right, my friends, so we have got the 3 wine and spirits are in the ground, and they may be small, but I have great visions for these wine and spirits weigela. Let me show you exactly how they look, final placement in the ground. Now, I'm not really sure how much the camera is being able to pick up on them, but we can see those 2 right here, and then we move on down, and then here is the 3rd one. These came to us, of course, from Spring Meadow, who is in Michigan, and they came as 1-gallon plants, which is a fantastic way to get a shrub. There was a little bit of an adjustment period here, so some of them got a little bit stressed. Overall, they are doing great. In fact, the way I know that they're doing great is if you can see this fine little foliage right here, that is new foliage, new growth, so they are very happy and going to bounce back just fine. Again, it is November now here in North Carolina, so these are deciduous shrubs. We have had 2 nights of freezing temperatures, multiple frost nights with frost, so it is time for them to start, you know, going into their fall colors, losing their leaves because they are deciduous. I always say with my shrubs, I give them 3 years before they are fully like in their element. The first year, there's a saying in the world of gardening, the first year they sleep, and I just tell people, keep them alive, keep them happy, keep them alive, you're doing great. Second year, they creep. You're going to see a couple of blooms. You're going to start to see some new growth on them. And then the 3rd year, they leap. And that is when they just are in their own element. They are happy, they are established, and they are doing great. Because you've got to remember, shrubs, perennials, their main job initially is to keep their root system alive, because if they know they can keep their roots alive, then eventually the top growth will come. Very different than annuals. Annuals, you will see massive growth and flower power, I mean, within days or weeks. Shrubs and perennials, they're slower. They're like marathon runners. Their goal is to last long term. So you have to be prepared and think of it in that aspect. Now, does that mean that they're not going to flower next year? No, I suspect that they absolutely will. They're going to have good color, but they're going to be small, right? They're not going to hit their mature size next year. That's going to be in year 3, 4, possibly 5. It just depends on the growing conditions. This is not on irrigation. It is got great mulch. We did get rain last night, so the ground was moist. They were on irrigation, the shrubs themselves, so their containers were nice and damp. I don't need to go and water them right now. We're having cool temperatures. It's the fall. They're not in nearly as much sun as they're going to be in the summertime, so they are good. Of course, if we do not get any rain for like, you know, a week or 2 at a time, yes, I will come down here and I will supplement them because they are brand new and they are just getting into the ground and they need to get established. So, wine and spirits are in the ground, have high hopes for them. Now, we're going to move on down, and I'm going to show you where I have placed the steady eddies. I have not planted them yet. I did go ahead and go back up to production to my little secret stash and grabbed the other 2 steady eddies. So I've got all 6 placed, and I think I'm very happy with how they are placed. Give you a little frame of reference here. Of course, we were just right on the other side over there. That is where the wine and spirits are. Now, on this side of the fence, we're going to have a farm gate that does close off this fence, right? So that way traffic can't go through here. There's no foot traffic that's going to go through here. That gate will attach to this fence post, and it's going to swing out towards where Johnny is. So that's the direction of the gate that it will close and open, that direction. On this side, of course, we have another Carolina sapphire tree that is right here, right up against the fence, because the idea is that it will eventually kind of hide that fence along with the popcorn viburnum that are on the other side. And then the 6 steady eddies are right here. I have roughly spaced them about 4 feet apart. I want them to grow as a nice little hedge because we're gonna have these as a border, right, as a backdrop, 4 to 5 feet right in here. Then imagine all the beautiful annuals that will fill in all of these spaces. Before we got started filming today, I did go ahead and get the blower and I blew out the leaves just towards the back of the flower bed because I wanted to see where my irrigation was. Obviously, I can move it if I need to, but I didn't want to cut the irrigation lines when I'm digging these holes. And if I can kind of place these plants around the irrigation, then that is even better. So we kind of staggered, give me a nice little backdrop. Will look really pretty up against where the annuals are out here in front, and it will be stunning. So what we're gonna do is get that auger, we're gonna drill our holes, we're gonna throw some biotone in, and we're gonna top dress with the compost. Pretty much the same thing that we do with all of our shrubs. When we do have clay soil here where we are in North Carolina. It is interesting though, because this is right on the creek, like the creek is just right there down in those trees. It's a low spot, obviously, because it's a creek. And so we tend to get right the wash, and over the years and hundreds of years, more sediment topsoil has come here. So this is not as clayish. I know that's a word, clayish and thick. It seems to be a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more loam, a little bit more, not sand, but you understand what I'm saying. It's not that really thick compacted clay. So it's not as bad. But typically, and I will do it here, is I raise my shrubs and my perennials about 1 inch above the ground. So my top of my shrub will be sitting above the ground. I'll come back, of course, with the compost and those kinds of things and add to it. Now today I'm not adding compost to this, mulch. I'm not adding mulch to this flower bed because we may come in here and top dress with something different. I'm going to talk to Jerry first, so we're just going to get them planted and then they will be fine. So yeah, without further ado, let's get them in the ground. All right, my friends, so the projects are complete for today because we have all 9 shrubs in the ground and they are nice and happy in their new home. I did plant these 6 steady eddies as I told you I was going to, here along in this, mostly it's going to be an annual flower bed because it is at the entrance of the nursery. They are nice and tucked in there. You may have noticed that when I was taking them out of their pots that there was a lot of loose potting soil in there. That is because when Spring Meadows sent us all of these great shrubs, they were in 1-gallon containers. For the vast majority of them, everybody did great. The steady eddies had a really vigorous root system, and it was warm and it was hot, and so they struggled, and so they kind of took a bit of a hit, and I was like, let's go ahead and move them up to a 3-gallon because I didn't know what my time frame was going to be as far as like putting them in the ground, and I didn't want them to struggle for like the rest of the fall and into winter if I wasn't going to plant them until come springtime. So we went ahead and moved them up to 3 gallons, which was only about 2 weeks ago. So we had a lot of loose potting soil where their roots had not clearly had filled in the pot yet. So if you're like, why is all that potting soil right there coming off? That's why. I was planning ahead, but lo and behold, it all worked out fine. So they are in here. I am super excited about these sweet 6 little steady Eddies. I think they're just going to be gorgeous. Imagine them 4 to 5 feet tall. They're going to form like a hedge. Really nice color contrast against that Carolina Sapphire. Pure white lace cap blooms. And then just literally on the other side of the fence, I have 3 popcorn viburnums. These are the mop head viburnums. And you can see that they have been growing here for, well, whenever we put this bed in. So they have been quite vigorous growers, very happy. They are starting to take on their fall colors as well. Last year, I did not get any blooms off of these babies. And I am hoping, fingers crossed, that I will get a beautiful show this year. If I don't, then the only thing I can think of is that they're not getting enough sun. So maybe if we come in here and limb up some of these poplar trees and the limbs, that they will get more sun, because I have not pruned them. Your viburnums bloom on old growth, so if you have to prune them, you want to do that after they bloom. So we will see come this spring, but they're very happy plants. They're very healthy. But again, remember, give them 3 years, see what they do. And this will be year 2, definitely spring 2 for them to come in. And then don't forget about doing your spring flowering bulbs, my friends. So 3 weeks ago or so, I put 200 jonquil bulbs in this space. I knew that the fence was going to be going in here, so we didn't go any further than this viburnum. So I've got pockets all throughout here of both white and a soft yellow jonquil, so they will come in here. Both of those varieties naturalize, so that means long term that they will spread and develop and do really well. Really excited about all this. I love how everything's coming together. Just taking those layers and adding them to your garden. Remember, gardening is a lifelong sport. You're never done with a flower bed. There's always something that you're doing. Either you're adding, or you're pruning, or you're moving, or you're transplanting, right? So we're always moving in our gardens and doing things differently, figuring out what is working, what is not working. If something's not working, why is it not, right? So you have to be a little bit of a detective. So lots of fun. Can't wait to see how all this grows and develops, not only this spring, but in the coming years. The berm, we're hopefully going to get it stained really soon because of the rain. We had to obviously take a little pause on that. Get the berm stained, that way we can get the plants in the ground. So much going on here. It's a beautiful time to do it. I mean, look, it is just magnificent around me. We have had such a glorious, beautiful fall, and I am loving every single second of it. As always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.